Were the missionaries a tool of colonialism or opponents of it?
It's important when we look at the settlement of Europeans in New Zealand, the role of the church particularly. And so you see, if we're looking at in 1835, the Declaration of Independence, and also the treaty 5 years later, you will see there that the missionaries were particularly concerned about the impact settlers were having on Māori, particularly where it involved land acquisition. And so Henry and others were responsible to ensure that through the treaty, Te Tiriti Waitangi, Māori rights to land and so forth will be upheld. Unfortunately, many years later, that there was quite an issue around whether or not that could be averted. So a story of Bishop Selwyn and the case when the land confiscation through Waikato down into Taranaki. Bishop Selwyn himself was quite active in bringing to attention the British Parliament that this confiscation was taking place and wanted to have that averted. Now, I believe that, of course, the church could see what was happening and became quite outspoken towards the British Parliament to ensure that in New Zealand that wasn't going to have a huge impact, but it did in the end. Nevertheless, the church and the missionaries themselves were quite sincere, and I believe made every effort to ensure that whatever land acquisition was taking place, that it was going to be just and not simply by way of confiscation through various wars that took place. So as a Christian, again, the missionaries would have been driven by how they understood the gospel of love, gospel of justice, and for many that was quite a reality in the way in which they themselves were proclaiming the gospel, sharing the gospel, and particularly from an Anglican point of view, ensuring that Anglicans, Māori and Pākehā were aware of what the gospel of love and justice demands.